Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Meaningful Motivations with Tracey Erickson. And of course, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracey Erickson, and this is video part 2 of a 2-part series on past life crossings. And in this video, I will be sharing a past life crossing report that I had done with my husband over 11 years ago. And I will tell you what we've learned since then. So stay tuned. In part 1 of Past Life Crossings, I shared with you the past life crossing that I had done with my friend Leslie. And I shared kind of what we are meant to learn from each other as far as karma is concerned when it comes to our relationship in this lifetime. And in today's video, I will be sharing a past life crossing that my husband Neil and I had done in December of 2010. And how much we have changed since this report was done. It's probably about time for us to get yet another past life crossing report. But in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about that report that we had done over 11 years ago. So before I actually get into the story, I first want to announce that this video is sponsored by me and my new Etsy shop, Tracey's Apothecary. Anoint your heart chakra with the Heart Chakra roller with green aventurine and rose quartz powder from Tracey's Apothecary. The heart chakra's powers are compassion, forgiveness, love, and understanding. The heart chakra is a bridge between the lower animal nature and the higher spiritual nature, and can have a strong effect on all types of relationships. The Heart Chakra Essential Oil Blend from Tracey's Apothecary is made with rose, marjoram, frankincense, and jasmine, and is designed to strengthen and balance the heart chakra, to inspire positive feelings, and to promote spiritual growth. This essential oil brings forth feelings of love and purifies the energy body. This oil roller also includes green aventurine and rose quartz powder to balance the emotional body, increase positivity, and to support unconditional love. The Heart Chakra roller with green aventurine and rose quartz powder is produced in a sound bath of high vibration healing music in an environment which is cleansed using the smoke of white sage and purified using the smoke of Palo Santo each day. Before this product is sent to you, it will be charged with Reiki by me with strong intentions for the highest good of all concerned. I hope you enjoy the Heart Chakra roller with green aventurine and rose quartz powder as much as I have enjoyed creating it for you. My husband Neil and I met in 2001, and I was only a teenager at the time, 18, 19, and I was the store manager at General Nutrition Center, and he actually came into the store one day, and that is how we met. Now, strangely enough, when I first set eyes on Neil, I recognized a sparkle in his eye. It literally, I noticed that his eyes seemed to have a certain sparkle to them. And later in life, as we talked about this first meeting, he claims that he noticed the same thing in my eyes when we met. So a part of me wonders, like, I think that if we were meant to meet someone, we simply recognize each other's souls. And the eyes are known as the window to the soul. So if we, when we first saw each other and made eye contact, it's like my soul recognized his soul and his soul recognized my soul. So without further ado, let's just get right into it and listen to this past life crossing report between my husband Neil and myself. And so get yourself comfortable, grab a snack, grab some tea or whatever beverage you enjoy, and let's get into this past life crossing.
23rd, 2010. You'll search for the identity of the entity referred to as Tracey Marie Erickson. Tracey Marie Erickson.
We have this.
You will relate a significant incarnation, a crossing of paths between the one referred to as Tracey Marie Erickson and that one referred to as Neil Eugene Erickson, and relate that significant crossing of paths.
We see each in similar form to the present. We see this to be within the land area referred to as Germany. And we see for the one of Tracey to have been the spouse of the one of Neil. And we see for there to be conflict at times. But we see the one of Neil had an attitude that was prevalent within this one, that this one did not have enough. This had been present since this one was a child. We see that oftentimes this focused on money, and Tracey, often tired of the one of Neil, repeating that there was not enough money. There was not enough money. This was a fear upon the part of the one of Neil. It was not truth in actuality, for the one of Neil was very good with money in terms of using the energy of money, of having the ability to produce financial gain. Although these ones were never wealthy, we see for the one of Neil to be a very capable provider. And we see for the one of Tracey to have desired the one of Neil to offer more of the self in general. We see for the one of Tracey to be very spontaneous, impulsive, joyful. And this one of Tracey did want to enjoy the life in a more open fashion. This one did want to have new experiences, did want to meet new people, did want to go places. And when this one would suggest this to the one of Neil, the response was nearly always the same, of not the concern over finances. We see that this became a great frustration, and Tracey did communicate, the one of Tracey did communicate this to the one of Neil. And the one of Neil did receive this, and did honestly look at the finances for this one of Neil, did feel that the one of Tracey was moving away in connection with this one. We see that the one of Neil did become more open with finances, and we see the one of Tracey did become thoughtful of how this one was using financial resources. For we see that the one of Tracey did want to do much good in the world. This one did give to charities. This one did not merely spend upon frivolous items such as clothing or food or parties. This one did appreciate the social aspects. However, the one of Tracey did want to aid others who were ill, did want to provide educational opportunities for others, and did want to, where this one saw a need, do good within the community. We see the one of Neil did recognize and evaluate how the one of Tracey was spending their money, And this one did see the joy that this brought to the one of Tracey. The one of Tracey was grateful and did communicate this gratitude to the one of Neil. For the one of Neil did aid in his own way to help Tracey fulfill lifelong desires. We see for the one of Neil to then soften and recognize the value of causing this monetary energy to move. For we see that when this one was more generous, this one did receive more as well. A greater connection with one of Tracey initially, but also as well, more business came into the environment. And this one did see that the money became an investment. Although this one did not fully understand the principles behind this one did identify it and trust it. We see that these ones did have children, and the one of Tracey was very instrumental in teaching the children. We see the one of Neil to have, at this point in time, connected more with the children as well, for this one had primarily been concerned with business before. After a period of time, the one of Neil did begin to fulfill this one's own desires as well, for this one did identify desires from childhood that this one had always wanted and now sought to participate in. Part of this was music. Part of this was a more creative endeavor in terms of art. And this one did find great satisfaction in these areas. We see for these ones to have remained married and to have been very active in the family and in the community throughout the lifetime. We see for this time period to be that of 1600s. We see for the one of Tracey to have been referred to as Johanna Markenstein. We see for the one of Neil to have been referred to as Peter Markenstein. Markenstein. This is all.
What understandings did these two build in that lifetime?
We see the one of Tracey to have built the understanding of generosity. We see for the one of Neil to have built the understanding of relativity. This is all.
What was the causal thought form behind Neil's belief that he did not have enough?
When this one was a child, the family had been poor, although not destitute, and there was a struggle, for the one of the father was unable to provide for the family and to meet all their needs, financially provide for them. Although the one of the father was a role model, the one of Neil did embrace this kind of thinking and did absorb it. And this one was very determined that this one's family would never struggle in the same way this one had been raised. And this provided the one of Neil with determination. However, it was very difficult to release this thought form, even when there was plenty within the family coffers.
Very well. What would be the significance of that lifetime to the present lifetime for these two entities?
We see there to be an opening that is occurring within this relationship. We see for the one of Tracey to want to fulfill the ideals of the self, the desire to give, the desire to aid others to grow. We see for the one of Neil to have had fears of lack of value within the self as well. And this one is beginning to identify the fulfillment of ideals and desires in the self is in itself an opening for there to be a greater satisfaction within the life, a greater understanding of self, and a greater happiness. For we see that when the one of Neil does release old limiting ideas, this one is enriched through the reception of new possibilities and new ideas. This one does indeed become more creative and less rigid. Would suggest that there is much that these ones can offer each other in terms of exploration of new kinds of thinking of new ways of being, and then of supporting and encouraging others in the implementation of these. And it would aid these ones to be more honest and open, which is part of the desire of each one. Would suggest that this relationship can be very enriched through the support of each one fulfilling their highest ideals. This is all.
These ones ask, what karma do they have that they can relieve in this lifetime through their relationship?
Upon the part of Neil, this is the tendency to say no before this one has examined the value of something. This is within the thinking and does most need to be changed at this point of time, to be open and receptive to new opportunities, to say yes to new opportunities, even when this one does not understand how this will aid or benefit this one, would be the most profound learning for this one at this time. For the one of Tracey, we see that this would be in causing there to be stillness so this one can communicate how this one sees benefit to the self and to others. For this one at times becomes excited about ideas without really fully seeing the purpose and benefit to the self and to others. And yet there is much purpose and benefit in this one's ideas when there is the examination of that. When this one gets distracted by anything within the environment, or even this one's own thinking, this one does need to still the mind and carry thoughts through to completion of ideal purpose and activity. This is all.
How can these two best aid each other? One in being more open-hearted, and the other one being more mindful?
I would suggest, in terms of being more open-hearted, for each one to convey the love they have for the other on a daily basis. To be open-minded would be to be still and receptive, to be willing to listen to the one of the other, and to receive that entity fully, even though there are distinct differences. These differences can be used as a stimulus for growth rather than as a conflict within each one's own thinking. This is all.
Any further suggestions for these two entities' soul growth and spiritual development?
No.
Very well, relax. Relax and be at peace.
At the time of this past life crossing in December of 2010, I was actually in the midst of finding myself spiritually. So I was in the midst of this spiritual awakening. And at that time, my husband felt as though there was an opening in our relationship, similar to the way he felt, in this past life when we were Johanna and Peter in Germany. So at that time, I was having this spiritual awakening, but he was hanging on to his old ways and our old ways of kind of just being ignorant to the whole spiritual side of things. But the more that he began to see how this spiritual awakening was changing me for the better and making me so happy, that is when his heart actually did soften. And that's when Neil began to embrace this spiritual awakening along with me. And so in the years since this reading, our relationship has changed and been enriched in many different ways. But I can definitely see how we're still working on that karma we have together, where Neil has to learn to stop saying no, and where I have to learn to stop saying yes. So there are some cases where if I ask Neil something that he does not agree with at first, if I give it to him in another perspective or start to explain the benefit of my idea, whatever it may be, then he does eventually open his heart and he changes his mind and he says yes. And I've also learned in the long run where if I feel like I'm just going with the flow and agreeing to things that I'm not necessarily 100% in agreement with, I finally learned to stand up for myself and simply say no. Neil and I are a classic case of opposites attract. Neil is a Taurus, which is an earth sign ruled by the planet Venus. And I am a Libra, which is an air sign ruled by the planet Venus. Therefore, it's like we both are ruled by the planet Venus. But Neil, being an earth sign, he has the lower aspect of the Venus planet. And me being the air sign, I have the higher aspect of the Venus planet. So we have, it's like we have a similar path, but a different focus, you know, on that similar path. I felt like it was important to do this mini-series on past life crossings because there are so many different types of relationships in our lives. We have family relationships, we have relationships with coworkers, relationships with friends, and we have social media groups that we're parts of, which just include other people that have similar interests to us that may not be in our physical life, but they're definitely there and part of our conscious waking existence in some way, even if it's only through technology. But the reason I find these crossings to be so important to share with other people is that it is my hope that with sharing what I've learned and what each relationship can bring to you as a soul, I'm hoping that then it can open you up to receive similar insights from the relationships in your life, especially relationships where you are feeling conflict at the present time. Anytime there's a conflict in relationships, you know there is definitely something to learn there, whether it is karma between the two people that is finally trying to reconcile itself, or whether it is simply another person being a reflection or kind of acting as a mirror for you to be able to see your own, to see your essence in someone else. So a lot of times we're shown a person that brings up conflict within our being, and the reason that comes up in our life is because we have to recognize what parts of ourselves that we need to pay attention to and stop acting unconditionally in these old programs. So the more that we can learn from our relationships in our life, the faster our evolution, our spiritual evolution will be. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and share this video with all your friends out there. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, you can turn on the notifications bell if you would like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.